Shalom Aleichem, Shana Tova, Nicole Bet Yisrael. Sameach ani meod la'asot et hadivarim hazeh ha'eleh. At this time, it is a pleasure to share some of my thoughts for Passover 2020. This year, Passover 2020, around the world will have its greatest significance. This one is different. This week, April the 8th at dusk, begins Passover, the holy day, Passover feast. Passover is from dusk to dawn, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread comes in the same evening, which also begins the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, ending at the evening of April the 9th. Yah has made this Passover personal by not allowing, due to COVID-19, not to have holy convocations. People are in homes, so we will not be permitted to gather at Yah's house around the world. We must show him that we will do Passover in our households, at home, in sincerity. For many Israelites, this will be a test of your own fortitude, determination to serve Yah at home. It presents for us as a community an opportunity to step up and show our seriousness about our Creator and keeping His laws, because this Passover is serious. Why? Because death is literally passing through countries around the world. No one is exempted from this coronavirus. The importance of involving our children in Passover is extremely important this year, because many times when we go through the memorial Passover, it's just eating a meal, having a social gathering with our brothers and sisters in temples, but we don't really think about what it must have been like in Egypt land on that night of Passover when death was actually going through the land. We're faced, believe it or not, with that same situation. What should our thoughts be? Should we playing our music and partying in the house, or Israelites who are not knowledgeable of themselves just be preparing for Easter? That's what I'm saying. I'm just sharing some thoughts. And I believe that, hey, even people that don't know about this year, Passover probably is going to get its greatest recognition, because Easter's being played down. Nobody will even be able to go to church on Sunday morning, Easter. In fact, if you really look at it, it's kind of strange that this year, usually Good Friday and what we call in Israelite communities Bad Friday, because in our understanding, if your God or your Savior was destroyed, how could that be a good day? But the main point that I'm making is that Easter comes on a Sunday that follows Passover. Because the Passover supper, if you really understand the Bible, that was the night of the Last Supper. That was the last meal that the Christian Savior had before he was taken. This year, the Vatican, the Pope will not even be in the Vatican speaking to Christians and a host of people before him. All churches and mosques and temples are on lockdown. That's significance. Yet, people are talking about the Jewish Passover. This year, they're going to find out that this is called Yahweh's Passover. This is not a Jewish Passover. It didn't even pertain to Jews. It really pertained to the children of Israel. That's why this coronavirus is on the earth. Because a lot of things are not right on this planet. It is at this time I think we should consider some of the prophecies. But before we get to that, to the Israelite community, as I said, our children this year should be at home, helping with the peeling of the potatoes, helping with setting up the table. In the Jewish community, they call this the Passover Seder, which means from the word Sedor, it's an order of service. Many of us are going to be having something like that. It's going to be a family meal, a dinner. And that's what we should get into. Not just listening to a priest or someone who's an elder or teacher. You and your children at home, commemorating and literally, because that's what you want them to understand, that death is passing through. That's why you haven't been in school. That's why, Yeladim, you should tell them why you can't go outside and just play like you normally do, because God's hand is on the earth. Children don't really know God. You know, most times when a child's growing up, I can speak from experience, that when you think about God, they look at their mother and father who's putting the meal on the table and all of that. Now you're not going to work. This is a great opportunity to let them know, hey, I go to work, but it's the Most High God that really makes me bring the food home. If those farmers aren't farming now, in which they're not, and no rain and no sunshine and the acts that require the Creator being in our lives, because people say life is what you make it. Yes, life is what you make it, but the Creator also plays a part in life. Simple as that. And that's what we have to understand and teach our children at this time. That a lot of things that are happening, this is the hand of God. You can't see Him. You can't see the virus. You can't see the impact. And let your Yeladim know, many of them are much better off than other children around the world. There are countries where they don't have access to food and water the way you might have it. That's why this Passover is, to me, it's like Yom Kippur and Passover combined. Because we should be praying as though death is literally around us. And it is. On Yom Kippur, we pray for forgiveness of sins. That's why all these problems are on the earth, because of sin. And we need to take this Passover with a sort of a dual mindset, realizing that, hey, something is wrong. Even maybe the people that are listening, what's wrong in your life? That's what I'm thinking about when I sit here in my house every day praying and thinking about what is happening around us. What can I do to make things better? Because that's what everybody must understand. If you stay home, you're helping to make things better. If you start to eat right and live right and clean up your life, you're going to make things on this planet better. Because, you know, everybody knows that the wages of sin is death. And nobody that's living could deny that there ain't a lot of sin happening every neighborhood where we all reside. We know what's going on. And we know people who are serious that this has made God angry. Now, people don't know that God gets angry because they always say God is love. That's not true. He has a lot more attributes than just love. And He's teaching us that. Involving our children, helping to raise them to be wise, because in Yah's kingdom, education is not just knowing math and science and reading. Education is your dedication to the will of Yah and to doing what is right. That's when you're really educated. And so that's why this is great for our children, because parents who should be the first teachers now have opportunity to start teaching at home where learning is supposed to begin. and then go to school. I don't even consider this as social distancing. This is physical distancing. We're having a social conversation right now. Most of you are probably online talking to somebody and all that. So we're having social distancing, they say. But this is physical distancing. I'm socializing with you. You've probably been socializing with people for weeks. And this will continue. And you should communicate. Share your ideas. Let them know the things like Papa that's good for the immune system. Let them understand and know, again, that things like oranges and limes and citruses will help to build your immune system. Eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Stop eating things that tear down your immune system. For instance, I'll tell you one thing. Consumption of too much alcohol will break down your immune system. So a lot of immune systems are probably really weak and broken. And then people don't get enough rest. I've written some things that maybe I'll share with you, because I see a lot of good that has come out of this coronavirus. I was thinking of a bitter herb because my mind's on Pesach. And in Guyana, we this bitter herb, and it has a similar name, but quite different in what they do. The bitter cleans you out, and this virus is taking people out of the earth. Again, we must watch for the time when things will change, because that's something that maybe the people that know aren't sharing with everyone. Because you got to have insight to know what's going on with this virus. Some things they can't share because they don't want to create panic. This is like a time of out-of-the-box thinking, where you can't go to Time Magazine or Life. You got to go to the life source, the Creator, the Almighty, the Most High, and watch and try to get Him to help you think. Because the mind that stays on Yah stays in perfect peace. You got to be thinking about God today to get through this. A lot of people are going to come out of this with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder or syndromes, because this is messing up a lot of people. They can't handle this. They too accustomed to being outside and socializing in bars. Many of the basketball players, I'm sure the players are saying, Toda Yah, my body's getting a rest. I needed this for years. And the Creator's been good and giving me. And then the people who are the spectators are saying, this is miserable. Because, man, no playoffs, no baseball player is playing this year. It's supposed to be starting right at the time of the coronavirus. All this comes in spring. Baseball comes in, the playoff starts, the NFL then plays, and all them, they just now ended their thing and getting ready for the new season. Ain't nobody thinking about no seasons now, because you can't even plan nothing. This is a day of what we could call uncertainty. That's certain. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. Predictability. They can predict the weather. There's science. They can even give you a GPS to tell you where you're going and you get there. But that GPS cannot deal with what is called the uncertainty. GPS can't tell you that a cat's going to cut in front of you or traffic's going to be diverted, because it can't pick that up. That's spiritual. See, there's certain things that people got to understand. That GPS, it only could just go according to how it's programmed, but it cannot tell you what's going to happen. That's why people got to get more spiritual to understand that, hey, you got to look to God. That's what the prophets were able to do. Because I'm going to touch on some prophecy. They could see all the way up to this time, and they didn't have no technology. They had a spiritual connection with the Most High that made heaven and earth. So you got to watch and realize that there are going to be some slight changes. For instance, let's think about this. Sooner or later, the virus restrictions are going to get to where they're going to open up a little mobility, movement. Those will be windows of opportunity. Let's say you in New York and you know New York, you better figure out how at that time you better go to Georgia or go somewhere, because that may not be. There may not be another opportunity to leave New York. because this virus is going to resurge itself because it's invisible. So at times people are going to say, well, it looks like it stopped or it's going down. The curve is flattening out, as they say. But the Creator concern, He controls everything. What goes up, what comes down, all of that. So people got to realize that, hey, they don't know. You got to be able to think. You got to have a yacht mind and know how to think through this. You don't have a passport? You ain't going nowhere. Some passports expired. Even all around the world, there are people stuck on boats. And nobody will take them. That's a preview of the future. You're going to have not a police clearance, a coronavirus clearance. It's coming. Just think about it. Even right now, they're talking about restrictions, not letting people in and all that. It's going to get worse. And there are going to be some windows of opportunity that's going to appear and disappear. Food shortages. You can't hoard because it's unrighteous. You got to be able to share. That's why some people who don't, it reminds me of lepers in the Bible when we put all the lepers out the city. Them 4 lepers end up saving everybody in the city. Because sometimes when you don't help those who are in need, they can end up being your source of salvation. So people can't just become so selfish that they don't help other people, because people are going to perish like that. Because you know what they say, God don't like ugly. And that's ugly when you have so much that you don't even want to share it with others. That's sort of like why we're here again. It reminds me of just not long ago, they was talking about the 99% and the 1%, meaning that what? There are people that are rich, have more money than they could ever use in their lifetime, and they won't even give a dime to poor people and needy people on this earth. But now, because of the virus, people that got a lot of money, they're getting kind. That's why I like this virus in certain ways. It's making people nicer and kinder. Even those who are better off are now giving. I've heard about some athletes and celebrities giving $1 million to help with the coronavirus. Keep it up. In fact, I'll tell you something else how you can help. Go in the ghetto. I can tell you where East New York, Brownsville, Harlem, and all through some of those neighborhoods in Barbados, and in Baltimore, and in, you know what I'm talking about, the inner cities, and pass out packages of money to the poor people. They know how to spend it. They know what they need. You're doing it in ways now through government checks, but a lot of people are going to be left out. We got to try to think of everybody, the homeless. They don't even have a home to go to. And everybody saying, go home. Where are they going to go? Think. That's what I'm trying to share with you. Some thoughts for Passover season. Thinking about being patient, because if you're impatient, let me share something with you. You're probably going to be in your house for a lot of days and nights and weeks and months. Do you have the discipline? Do you have the self-control? Are you going to get all worked up because you can't go and socialize, which could threaten your life? Some people have already shown that they can't do it. They got to be forced to save their own lives. Imagine that. This is the time for the prayer warriors to come out. We must pray continuously. We're in a bad way on this planet. Yah has made this Passover personal by not allowing us to gather for Passover. We all got to keep it like they did the first time, in our homes. Let me just touch on a few little precepts that help us to understand what has happened. Because people don't really literally think about things like this until Almighty puts something before us like the coronavirus. We just take Passover for granted. In Exodus 12:29 it says, "And it shall come to pass at midnight that Jehovah smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called, meaning Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, Rise up, get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve Jehovah as ye have said. Take both your flocks and your herds as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Egyptians were urging upon the people to send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We are all dead men. They realized that they could possibly die if they didn't yield to the will of the Almighty. They at least got it. I hope that the leaders and the people around the world today will understand and respond intelligently, and perhaps not even allow things to get as bad as they are. Let me give you a precept from Isaiah, because, the Bible has a wonderful way of speaking to things in our day and time, even before they occurred. Look at Isaiah 26:20. That's why I love the word of Yah. He says that man doth not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yah doth man live. And it's true. Whatever he says is to be, will be, and you got to live with it. He sent floods of waters and destroyed this planet before. He's sending fires in California and Australia, destroying 1 billion animals and wildlife in the forest in a matter of weeks. I think human beings should think. Our planet is in what they call that. They have a word, they call it, they said possibility of extinction. We're in danger, and so people should wake up. Here, it already speaks about a time like this. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, as we are. I'm speaking to you right now from my inner chamber. And shut thy doors about thee, lock down. Hide thyself for a little moment. Because, see, a moment in the Creator's sight is like 1,000 years, so we don't even know how long this moment's going to be. Until the indignation be overpassed. For behold, Jehovah cometh forth out of his place, to visit upon the inhabitants of the earth the iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. It was already prophesied that the Most High said that he's going to open up this earth like an open book and reveal all the people that's died. They call it collateral deaths. You know how many people have been killed unnecessarily in wars because they just wanted to kill one man and kill everybody around him? We just had that with the man that was killed, because he is a brother. All men are brothers. The man from the Iranian army. Other people were killed too. In Syria, all in Afghanistan. It's happening everywhere. Somebody don't understand. These lives matter to the Creator. You don't give life. You don't have the opportunity to kill as you feel being a human being. And that's why we have a problem. Some people don't get it. But let's take another precept. This one is so ripe for the time. It's Isaiah 55. And it's from verses 6 to 11. Listen to this one. Powerful. Seek ye Jehovah, or in the Bible you read, the Lord, while he may be found. The Lord is Jehovah. If you don't know that, that's going to be a little problem too, because you may make the mistake of calling on the wrong God, the wrong power, the wrong help. In Psalm 121 it says, from whence cometh my help? You know what it says in every Bible? My help cometh from Jehovah, who made heaven and earth. Everybody should be looking to the God that made heaven and earth. He's the only God. Before I go back to that, I want to read another one. Just popped into my mind because, as I said, it's a beautiful precept in Jeremiah that people have to understand too. Because, as I said, people have forgotten the true word of God. They just doing their own thing, you know. And Jeremiah, as I said, he speaks so eloquently about this thought that we must, again, embrace, because people are making themselves gods, and that's a terrible thing. Now, listen to what this says here in Jeremiah 16 and the 19th verse. Jeremiah 16:19 says, O Yahweh, my strength and my stronghold, and my refuge in the day of affliction. This is a day of affliction. Unto thee shall the nations come from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Our fathers have inherited naught but lies, vanity and things wherein there is no profit. Shall a man make unto himself gods, and they are no gods? Therefore, behold, I will cause them to know, this once will I cause them to know, my hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh. That's why you got to know the name of God. You don't think he have a name? What should it be, that we name him and give him a name, or do you think he had his own name when he made us? Think about it. I'm telling you, he has a name. You better get the name right, because you may be calling on the wrong God. And let me tell you something everybody knows about the Bible. He's a jealous God. He don't like you calling on other gods. He said his glory he will not give to another, nor his praise to graven images. Now, this is not me speaking. I'm just speaking his words. So get it right now. Don't be mad at the messenger. It's the message that you got to really think about. If you get mad at the message, then you're really mad at the Almighty, because it's his message. It says, once again, Isaiah 6-11, in the 55th chapter, Seek ye Yahweh while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the man of iniquity his thoughts. And let him return unto Yahweh, and he will have compassion on him, and to our God, our power, for he will abundantly pardon. For he says, For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith Yahweh. For as the heaven is higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain cometh down, and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, except it water the earth, and make it bring forth and bud, and give seed to the sower, and bread to the eater, so shall my word, saith Yahweh, be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, except it accomplish that which I please, and make the thing whereto I sent it prosper. The Most High is causing these things. And all of us, we must remember this. We must acknowledge the Holy One of Israel. We must respect the Creator's laws, his rules of life, because there are rules of life. We must abide by them. We must realize that life is a gift. It's a gift that we have received. And people must treat life with value. If you think about it, just a few days ago, people were acting as though life didn't matter, taking one another's lives. Now when the Almighty start taking life, everybody goes home, and I'm glad, because there's been no drive-by killings. I've been watching the news every day for years. Every time I turn down to Florida, somebody got killed in one of them counties. Not this weekend, last week, in a few weeks. All across New York City. You know, it looks like when people stay home, the world is a better place. Unfortunately, that's sad, but that's the truth of the matter. Just think about it. All the good things that have come out. The children are home. Some of these children were going to school and being abused every day. Them abused children and bullied children, they're so glad they ain't in school, and I'm glad for them too. Because ain't nobody could help them. They would have been bullied forever. And now, homeschooling become worldwide. Everybody's at home getting schooling. And many of them probably in a better place because of it. Because now parents, as I said earlier, they could take more responsibility in their children's lives. Some of the parents are calling up teachers and saying, now I know what you was going through. You're a great person to have endured what you were doing with my son. And I know if you got all them other children in there, and I'm sure you do, because children today, they're just not as mannerable, respectful as they was in my generation. Even some of the generations just below me are saying it's gotten worse since they got out of high school and what have you, in primary school. And we all know that's true. This is a bad place on this planet. And the coronavirus has separated people. Gangs can't have gang wars now. Guns have been put down and the police don't have to make all these arrests. And if we would just take this time to think about it and say, hey, look, if and when we get an opportunity to socialize again under physical socialization, we're going to do it different. People should be thinking about changing. The gangs should be saying, hey, you know, just killing, man, now that I see all this death and what happened, thousands in New York, thousands in this California, thousands in this country and that country. Somebody should say, you know, what were we doing, man? Just killing our own children and shooting up people in the neighborhood? That was foolish. It's like the man who goes to jail. We all in jail now. We in lockup at home. Fortunately, and some people, they don't go to jail. They just get one of those monitors on their leg. You know what I'm talking about. And they go home. That's how we are with no monitor. So, now, when you in jail, what do? You think. Everybody should be thinking. During this Passover, pray. I know they pray when they get in jail. Pray they get out. Pray God will be merciful to them. I know prisoners pray. Why you think in jail they got chaplains, Muslims, people becoming Muslims and all of that stuff? People writing me, Israelites saying, hey, can you send me the Tanakh and copy your book? Hey, because they're spiritual beings. We're all emotional beings. And so you could get put in a place where you actually be who you really are. You're not just a social being. You got to start thinking, living within yourself, having some introspection, as they call it. This is what this time affords us at Passover. I hope our children will start to get more spiritual and think and grow in their spirituality, because in life, you don't just grow by age and number. You got to grow in intelligence and wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You got to grow in discipline and self-control. That's what these children, this is a time where you got to exercise self-control. Even in the home, y'all got to share that food in there. Some households have smaller households and foods can last longer. But you can't be getting up in the night sneaking and eating food and you know we rationing. Hey, it might get worse. You might have to hold your appetite for hours because you can't just eat all day like you used to eat. This is a time of discipline. And it may be a higher level of discipline coming. As I've said repeatedly, nobody knows what's going to happen. Only the Creator knows this future. I don't know. I don't know nobody that knows. The presidents don't know. I've been listening to different people talk around the world. They don't know. The scientists don't know. The people that's advising them, they don't know. Nobody knows but Almighty God what's going to happen and what the future holds for us. Israel, pray. Use this Passover to pray seriously. Develop more patience. Because a lot of things you used to doing and wanting to do, some people want to go swimming. I wish I could. Can't. But I ain't worried about it. Ain't no big deal. You know, like this comes a time when priorities come into play. This certainly is one of those times. Hey, who want to play basketball and die? Who wants to go anywhere, have a good time, good party, and then the next day or a few days later, you're dead? That party is not worth it. Nothing else that you do is worth your life. So, be patient. What could you do? Read more, write more, talk more, share more with your brothers and sisters, positivity. Take some of that negative stuff that you be talking online, because I know one thing. I've asked my son, because I don't go online like that. I said, well, what are they saying online? How's things going? What are the youth talking about? He said, Cohen, everybody's talking about the coronavirus. Ain't none of that other foolishness that used to be going on. People might be having certain conversations, but trust me, the coronavirus has gotten everybody's attention. And we all know it's true. If it hasn't, you a fool. Because that's what they're saying about some people, not me, others. That the people who are not taking this virus seriously, they're putting their own life in jeopardy and their families and other people's lives in jeopardy, which is foolish. So, let's think, be wise in this time of trouble. What did the Bible say further about this time? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. If I was you, I'd be reading my Bible from front to back. And that's another thing about reading the Bible. Let me just stick this little pin in there. Should you begin in the back of the book or the beginning? I'm telling you, you know that. You're intelligent. Start in Genesis 1:1 and then read the whole Old Testament to Malachi, which is one book in itself. Then go to the new story, the lie, the falsehood, the deception, the New Testament, and read that. Because if you read that whole Old Testament, the original Testament of God, and then go to the New, written by man, in Greek and not in the real tongue of Hebrew, Ivrit, you will see that they played a trick on you. And they manipulated the Word of God. Don't believe me. So you can see right away I'm not a preacher. Because I'm not. I'm a teacher. Don't believe me. Don't believe anybody. Know for yourself, study, read, research, and go to teachers and hold them accountable by verification of what they teach you. Because truth is verifiable. You can verify what somebody tells you. In this precept that I'm about to read to you, it comes from the book of Joel. Let's take that one now. Because in the book of Joel, he reads and says, for behold, in the 4th chapter, the last chapter, it only has 4 chapters in Joel. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring back the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. Why? Because, see, this captivity and scattering of so-called Negroes via the Atlantic slave trade was nothing but the precept in Deuteronomy, the 29th chapter, or the 28th chapter, and the 64th to the 68th verse, which really says this, that the Israelites would go into Egypt again by ships. The ships was the Atlantic slave trade. So it's really that if you understand the Bible, the so-called Negroes, who are really the true house of Israel, they are suffering the conditions and the oppression that they experienced in Egypt all around the world in other countries of captivity. That's why we are now having plagues like we had in Egypt, but in a pandemic. Everywhere Israel is scattered and everybody that's doing evil, Yah is judging the whole earth, because that's what the Bible tells you. This is going to be a time in Joel. Listen to what it says. He speaks better than I do. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring back the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat means Yahweh's judgment. He's judging. Shaphat is the word for judge. Jehovah would be Yah or Yahweh's Shaphat, Yahweh's judgment. He's judging the nations. I will gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will enter into judgment with them there. Why? For my people and for my inheritance Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and divided my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, and have drunk. There's some evils that have taken place in this earth that people, they have to give an accountable. You know, there's all the time, comes a time when you got to pay for what you do, and you got to have, there's a judgment for your actions. And so just consider all the things that have happened on this planet that are not right from a long time ago, before slavery, and they have not been corrected. This is a time of correction. There comes a time when the earth, even the planet, corrects itself. That's what happens every spring, like Passover. Death comes in the winter. Spring starts new life. It's a new beginning, a new fresh. I hope that everybody, this will be a new beginning for everybody on the planet, that they'll start changing some of their ways. Here's some of the things. Look at this prophecy. I love the Bible. Ezekiel 36. Consider this one. Maybe in the land of Israel, they'll think about this one. And thou, son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, Ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, because the enemy hath said against you, Aha! Even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Therefore prophesy and say, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, even because they have made you desolate, and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the rest of the nations. And ye have taken up in the lips of, you are taken up in the lips of talkers, and the evil report of the people. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh Elohim. Thus saith Yahweh Elohim to the mountains and to the hills, to the streams and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes and to the cities that are forsaken, which are become a prey and a derision to the residue of the nations that are round about you. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Elohim, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the nations, and against all Edom that have appointed my land unto themselves for a possession, with the joy of all their heart, with disdain of soul, to cast out for a prey. Therefore prophesy concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, and to the streams, and to the valleys, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, Behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the nations. Therefore thus saith Yahweh Elohim, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the nations that are round about you, they shall bear their shame. But ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches, and yield your branches to my people Israel, for they are at hand to come. For behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and ye shall be tilled and sown, and I will multiply men upon you, and all the house of Israel, even all of it, and the city shall be inhabited, and the waste places shall be builded, and I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and be fruitful, and I will cause you to be inhabited after your former estate, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings. And ye shall know, not believe, that I am Yahweh. I wonder, when they speak about revelations, have they ever read prophecies? Have they ever read Keswiyahu, called Ezekiel, Yeremiyahu, called in English Jeremiah, Yeshayahu, called Isaiah in English? I wonder if they've read them. Yoel, called Joel, Daniel, called Daniel. Let's read Daniel. His name is Daniel. And let's see what he speaks about in terms of this day and time. 12th chapter, first verse, just verses 1 to 4. At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, who standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to reproaches and everlasting abhorrence. And they that are wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn the many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. You know, prior to the coronavirus, airplanes were crossing Yah's heavens every minute of the day. You can hardly find one of them. The birds must be saying hallelujah. There's a lot of creation that suffered because of man's inventions. And the Bible was sealed. That's why many of our people don't know this truth. That's why it's a pleasure, an honor to share it with our people and all mankind. It'll be a great day when the universal brotherhood of man that Isaiah speaks about. Let's go to Isaiah. Then I'd like to say you something about the Most High taking vengeance, because he is a vengeful God. You know, and so that, you know, when you think about the many, many things that are happening on this planet, you really have to ask yourself, what has man done? What has he been thinking about to bring the earth to such a horrible, horrible state that we find ourselves in now? And I just tell you, it's just going into Passover, really a heavy time for prayer, wanting to pray, wanting to ask the Most High to forgive me, to give my family, my children, brothers and sisters, to forgive our generations, because that's one of my prayers, is that forgive every generation from Abraham, the intercession of generations that were between this generation and ours. We all have sinned, and we got to think about it. We have to, again, remember what we are experiencing on this planet is a message from the Almighty. It's an admonition from the Creator. It's a time when all of us, every human being, should think about how we were living, how we were socializing before this dilemma. We have to really think about it. And, you know, every prophet, Moses even warned us in Deuteronomy 28 that we would go into captivity and that diseases and plagues that we experienced in Egypt, in ancient Africa, we would experience among the nations. We lead the world, our people, in high blood pressure, diabetes, many fatal diseases. Our lifestyle has caused these problems. The Bible, when you become a Hebrew Israelite, conscious in knowledge of self, you have a change of lifestyle. And you begin to live a more righteous life, a more moral, correct life. And we must, all of us, do this. As I think about many things at this time and so many prophecies coming to mind, one that I want to read that I had thought to read, now my mind has changed because I feel this one is more important. And it shall come to pass, it says in Isaiah 10:20, in that day that the remnant of Israel and the escaped of the house of Jacob. Escaped how? Escaped falsehood, false indoctrination, Christianization, all the other things that take you out of your culture, your heritage, your way of life. That is, if you are an Israelite. Because it's speaking about Israel. You're the people, the only people to have this peculiar experience of having no language. You have one, but you don't know it. It was taken from you. Having no country. You have a country, Israel, but you don't know it. You don't even know, many of us, that we came from Africa. And we do know we came from Africa. We don't know where in Africa we came from. That's why it's saying those that have escaped, that have returned to the knowledge, that have been awakened, shall no more stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. This is about truth. This is an ascension of truth at this time of the coronavirus. And the triumph of truth is actually being established at this time. A remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto Yah the mighty. For though thy people, O Israel, be as the sand of the sea, only a remnant of them shall return. An extermination is determined, overflowing with righteousness. For an extermination wholly determined shall Yahweh, the power of hosts, make in the midst of all the earth. Passover this year is all around the world. And this Passover and Passovers to come and the deliverance, because we don't know if this Passover is it. I'm not a prophet of doom. I want you to know nobody knows. But I know one thing. Yah says in Jeremiah, it's going to come as a thief in the night. You ain't going to know. So you better be prepared. You better be watching. But all of us must realize that only a remnant. Everybody's not coming out of this one. That's why you got to pray hard. This is not going to be a mass national deliverance. You're not even going out by flight. Jehovah's gathering, and he's going to be your rear. He's going to protect you and make sure those who he want escape. In closing, I want to read Nakum. Nakum means comfort, mercy. I pray that these words will comfort us and that Yah will give us mercy, that we'll keep a sincere Passover, realizing that just like in ancient days, in our own day and time, Yah is jealous because of what has happened to not only his people, but to innocent, poor, and helpless souls. And so his vengeance is in the earth. I'm reading at this time in the book of Nahum, the prophet, verses 1 through 9. The burden of Nineveh. The book of the vision of Nahum, the El-Kashite. And Yahweh is a jealous and avenging power. Yahweh avenging and is full of wrath. Yahweh taketh vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. Yahweh is long-suffering and great in power, and will by no means clear the guilty. Yahweh in the whirlwind and in the storm is his way, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebuketh the sea and maketh it dry. He drieth up all the rivers. Bashan languisheth, and Carmel and the flower of Lebanon languisheth. The mountains quake at him, and the hills melt. The earth is upheaved at his presence, yea, the world and all that dwell therein. Who can stand before his indignation? And who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are broken asunder before him. Yahweh is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that take refuge in him. But with an overrunning flood will he make a full end of the place, and the darkness shall pursue his enemies. What do ye devise against Yahweh? He will make a full end. Trouble shall not rise up the second time. Yes, it will not rise up the second time. And so, again, just a man that loves the word of Yah, that understands and fears him. I want to say one last wise thought found in the book of Proverbs. It's found in the 21st chapter and the 30th verse. There is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against Yahweh. No wisdom, no understanding, nor any counsel against him. This is a power that you must join, submit to. He will destroy otherwise. May Israelites observe Passover in a way that will benefit all mankind. May this Passover let them know that this is not the Jewish Passover. It's Yahweh's Passover. It's the Passover that he planted in the land of Israel, in the midst of Israel, in Egypt, in ancient years, over 4,000 years ago. Right now, history is repeating itself. May Yah bless you. Shana Tova. Kag Pesach Tov. Kag Sameach. Modim Lasimka. Yah Kai. Kai Yah. Hallelujah. Shalom Aleichem.